So I really see this as an organizational meeting to address the concerns of our community. They've been kind of blowing up on Facebook and taken off, really, just like our Enka Jets, right? I'm very pleased that this panel has taken notice of your efforts and your voices and your ability to come together. This meeting will basically have three components. At the end of the meeting, at the close of the meeting, we're going to have a community opportunity fair. You see tables around the room. It'll be your opportunity to come and ask your individual questions to the folks that are here to help us. The panelists will also be roaming around and available for your questions as well. We'll also have the COPS presentation from Van Duncan and Buncombe County Sheriff's Department, and a panel discussion of the community's concerns and questions that have been out there. I'm going to allow the Community Opportunity Fair folks to do a quick introduction, and y'all be really quick because we've got a lot of information to cover in a very short amount of time. Please kind of shout out who you are and why you're here and what you are offering this group. And I'm going to start over here in the corner in the front. Sure.
I'm Sergeant Noel with Buncombe County Sheriff's Department. I'm part of the Crown Division, and we'll be in the back corner if anybody has any interest in the community watch programs.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Sanders, and I'm with the Enka Business Association. They've been involved in getting the local county signs and other cleanup efforts. I'll be right over here for my laptop.
My name is Eric Bradford. I'm with National Greenworks. We're a local environmental organization. We host litter cleanup, street plantings, school improvement projects. We're going to be located right over here afterwards if you'd like to get involved in the cleanliness of your neighborhood. Thank you.
I'm Leland Blankenship. I'm the principal at Enka Middle School. And the first thing I like to do is welcome you to Enka Middle School. When we were asked if we could help host this event, we were delighted because really one of the things we're really after is to be the center of this community. And I have with me some partners to help move that way. I've got Alex and Sam. They're with our community school strategy here. It's a United Way initiative. Enka Middle School is the pilot in that. I also have Marty, who is with our after school program. That's part of that initiative, really trying to serve our families and our communities. We've got all kinds of ways we can help. This thrills me. I'd offer you more chairs if we don't have any. We do have the front row open here. But we have a lot of things that we can do. We're trying to save our jet. How many schools have a fighter jet flown by our very own Scotty Morgan, also saw combat? He didn't see combat in that jet. I think a lot of people know the Scotty Morgan story. But that jet did fly a combat mission. We got to save that. So that's one of the things we can do. If you're interested in helping us with that, we'd like you to sign up. But we can use volunteers for this school in many ways. You saw our partially painted hallway. It's hard to paint a school. Now we're on the rotation, but we don't like waiting on the rotation. We want to do it. We want to do it now. So we're right here at first page.
I'm Roger Metcalf, Campbell Lions Club. We'll have a table back on the side over here, and we'll also have an opportunity to discuss with you a potential museum of American Enka memorabilia. The table will be back on that side. Thank you. Justin Rice, North Carolina Department of Transportation, working for the maintenance yard in Buncombe County. Any questions you have, you can go back and stay here on the right.
I'm Michelle Higgs-Wood, and I'm just going to be here tonight helping with the yellow and parade. There's a sign-up sheet. I'll be in charge. Let us know. And 5K. We've got some people there. We're also going to be taking those comments. The state is now asking about exit comments, whatever your comments are. I'll take them to Randy personally that they're having next week. You can either do it digitally or sign up. And if you have any miscellaneous NCGOT maintenance requests, there's a sheet to put those on there as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to now ask the COPS team to come up and give their presentation. Buncombe County Sheriff's Department. Are they here? Oh, fantastic. I didn't see it.
This is great. This is what community is all about. And we looked at coming back out here with another COPS team. And I think most of you folks are familiar with that concept with us, with the Sheriff's Office. It's where we bring 5 members out and work in your community. We started that a little over 2.5 years ago, and we're on the 22nd COPS team right now, and this will be the 4th time that we've come out to Candler. Now that's not a bad thing, because every time that we come, whether it's here, whether it's Swananoa, or whether it's any other area of the county, when we leave, we always leave it in a little better shape with your help. What I want to tell you, and probably some really good news, and that doesn't mean that we don't still have road to travel and things to improve, but the B&Es countywide are down 22% from 2013 to 2014. And I have to say, that's by and large to the efforts of these folks standing in the back of the room back here with our COPS team. When we looked at coming back to Candler, what we knew we had were some issues around some mobile home parks. We still had a few B&Es, but they're down well over half from what they were from January 1st of 2014 to today's date, from January 1st of 15 to today's date. So we know that we're traveling in the right direction. So we'll still be looking at B&Es and ready to take y'all's information. What we know is a lot of those residential B&Es and business B&Es are linked to street level drugs. Now, I think about anybody in here can tell you where we started about 2.5 years ago out here, we're in a whole lot better shape than where we were. Now, we've still got some work to do, but we're primarily looking at some mobile home parks that we think are generating some issues for us out in Candler. And also, we've had 3 armed robberies out here since the first of the year. So we're following up with those as well. We had some high-profile breaking and enterings around the Enka Lake. We were able to catch that individual. He was also responsible for some breaking and enterings up on Town Mountain. And we were able to catch him last week with the help of Black Mountain Police Department. He was staying in an old abandoned Waffle House out in their jurisdiction. So would my folks raise their hands in the back here from the COPS teams, and if you're here from the Sheriff's Office, they will be available for you when the meeting is over. And Michelle asked me if I would to kind of hold y'all's questions for law enforcement and things to the end. I think she's got some Q&A she's going to do at the end, but we're glad to be out here with you, and this is really exciting to see this kind of turnout in the community. We're going to get a lot of good things done going forward. Thank you.
Now, I can't see the panelists, so I don't even know who showed up here. I apologize, y'all. So, as you know, on Facebook, there's been a lot of questions asked, and a group of us have been trying to get answers to those questions, and the best way to do that is to get this fine group of people up here to answer your questions. What I'm going to do tonight is kind of organize those questions, and we have basically want to ask them, and I hope we'll get some answers. What I'd like to do is ask you to pass the mic and introduce yourselves and what agency you represent before we get started there.
Roger Presley, Buncombe County Environmental Control.
Josh O'Connor, Buncombe County Planning and Recreation Services as well.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brownie Newman, and I'm a member of the Buncombe County Commission.
Hello, I'm Miranda DeBrule, and I too am a member of the Buncombe County Commission, District 3.
My name is Brian Turner. I'm the state representative for Candler.
Good evening, I'm Jason Willis. I'm with the Department of Transportation based out of Asheville.
Good evening. My name is Rick Tipton. I'm also with the North Carolina Department of Transportation based here in Asheville. I'm the division construction engineer and administer new construction projects that you'll see here in the county.
Good evening, I'm David Gant, Chairman of the Buncombe County Commission, and thanks for coming out. It's always good to see you. It's always good to hear what's going on out here, and we're looking forward to listening to you.
Good evening. I'm Congressman Mark Meadows, representing the 11th Congressional District, and it's great to be with you and see such a great crowd.
Mike Fryer, representing District 2, but I'm glad to be in District 3. What a crowd, but
I am County Commissioner too. And I'm Van Duncan, I'm your sheriff.
Thank you, guys. All right, and our District 3 Commissioner Joe Belcher is also going to join us, and I've asked him just to come up and grab this chair when he gets here. He was at the school board tonight, and he's going to just sneak in, and y'all forgive him for not being here when we started. As you know, we've had many issues we've been trying to tackle as a group. The way I got involved is I just started picking up other people's trash along Smoky Park Highway and Sand Hill Road and other places, Pisgah Highway. And I've been really interested in the littering aspect. That's my personal goal here. But the questions have been organized by our group, and y'all have written down a lot of interesting questions. We've tried to compile them. And the first one I'm going to start with, and I'm just going to address this to the entire panel, is regards crime concerns. Citizens have questions about crime prevention in our area. Concerns include drug activity indicated by bananas on the power lines, speeding and reckless driving on particular neighborhood roads, graffiti, drug deals in parking lots of our various businesses, vandalism, intoxicated folks walking in the neighborhoods or on the roadways, home and business break-ins. What can citizens do when they witness a crime, and what state or federal agencies do to help to lower the incidence of crimes in Candler?
Well, you're doing it. This is a great moving forward with getting more people involved. I think when we met about a year ago, you had 2 business associations in Candler, and I think they've kind of come together and merged. I can tell you that the best help that we get is folks from the community knowing what's going on in their particular neighborhoods, and when they see something going on that shouldn't be there, whether it's suspicious people on the road, whether it's somebody coming around knocking on doors, asking strange questions like their dog is lost, or just weird kind of things, because generally what they're doing is trying to check and see if anybody's home before they break in. Most of these folks do not want to encounter you in your residence. That's what they don't want to do. But any of those things, you need to immediately call the sheriff's office. Hopefully the next month, you'll be working with these folks in the back of the room here, and you will have some contact information and officers that continue to work out here in your area, and you'll be able to go directly to them. And you heard from Sergeant Kim Mull. She is our crime prevention person, and she will be glad to come out and schedule a community watch meeting. Communities that get together, Town Mountain's a great example. Biltmore Lake did a great job, but Town Mountain, in this last series of break-ins with Neil Aho, who was the same guy that was breaking in out here, they did a tremendous job and gave us, actually were able to provide us pictures of a person and a vehicle, which helped tremendously in moving forward. So the community being together out here for us is where it starts.
Thank you. And not everybody, I just need to remind the panel, not everybody needs to answer the question, but if you do have a response, I invite you to jump in.
I'd like to address the issue of graffiti. The graffiti problem in Buncombe County has been one that's been growing over the last couple of years, and it's no longer sort of graffiti as I remember when I was a kid, sort of Joni Loves Chachi on an overpass or something like that. It's become much more sophisticated, and it's sort of, groups of people going out and doing it. In response to the growing problem that we've had here in Buncombe County and other communities around the state have had, legislation was filed just last week that would increase penalties for graffiti, and hopefully this will give law enforcement some of the tools they need to stop this problem.
Does anybody else from the panel want to address that question?
Yeah, I'll just add a couple of additional thoughts on the graffiti question, because I agree with Representative Turner that it's a problem that's always been around, but it's gotten much worse. The business I work for is not located in Candler; it's located in the in the River District area in Asheville. But graffiti is a horrible problem, and we have to spend a lot of money as a business getting these tags off of our company, and we can definitely relate to the frustration that people experience who have this happen to their property or just have to see it. And it does a lot of harm to the community. And there's no reason for it. There's no good comes of it. Only harm comes from it. So one of the groups I'm really glad to see here today, Asheville Greenworks, does a lot of great work helping people get graffiti off of your property. So if you're a business that has experience getting graffiti on your property, they're a great group to call. They've got a lot of great resources to help property owners get graffiti off the property, and I think the research shows that the best thing we can do to discourage graffiti is to get it off of property as quickly as we can, because the people who engage in these acts get satisfaction out of seeing it up. And so the longer it stays up, the more it encourages people to continue to do this, encourage other people to do it. So I think we do need a united strategy as a community to do this, and it's not just a problem in the, in Asheville or Black Mountain or Weaverville. It is county-wide, and so I think we as a county probably need to think about what else we can do to partner with communities in incorporated and unincorporated areas, and partner with Asheville Greenworks to continue to tackle this problem and start getting it going in the right direction instead of the wrong direction.
Thank you. Thank you. My next question I'm going to address the panel regards littering. Citizens are concerned about excessive littering on many roads all over Candler. Some roads of heightened concern have been Smoky Park, Queen Road, Dogwood Road. Many groups have regular community roadside cleanups only to see more litter the next day. Some citizens question why the state road cleanup crews have not been seen in Candler. Reports of trash seem to be concentrated in certain areas and include mostly fast food trash and empty alcohol containers. Some have suggested cameras be installed to catch offenders. What can citizens do if they see someone littering, and what can you do to help with this growing problem in Candler? Environmental?
Yes, this is Jason Willis with the Department of Transportation. Obviously, litter is something that is a focal point for us, and it's something that we have to deal with as well, much like graffiti. We work internal to try to stay on top of litter as best we can. We also partner with the Department of Corrections. You may see the work crews cleaning up litter on 240, 40, 26, and then they do migrate into some of our primary routes. Obviously, some of the routes you have mentioned, we have on our list. We have a litter sweep for a 2-week period in the spring that's coming up at the end of this month. We also have a litter sweep 2 weeks during the fall. And we certainly take any of those routes and make sure they're on there. And then, of course, through the years, people call in, we try to address those as possible. Obviously, I'll go back to the Department of Correction, especially on Smoky Park Highway. It's a dangerous road. Obviously, public safety is our #1 concern, and it is dangerous at times, but we do try to stay on top of litter the best we can, and it's something that we deal with on a routine basis.
Thank you. Mr. Presley, do you have anything to add?
Statewide, the littering issues are taken care of by the communities with community involvement, doing cleanups in their neighborhoods. The county basically doesn't have a littering law as far as an ordinance. The people like Asheville Greenworks and different community officials can basically, was basically who's going to have to handle this.
All right.
I do want to make a comment real quick about graffiti. Something I didn't know till the other day is in the city of Asheville, if you own a business and somebody comes and tags your business, they charge you if you don't get that graffiti off your business. The county doesn't do that, and I'm glad we don't. I think it's almost kind of a punish the victim, but I do understand, as Commissioner Newman said, it's that old broken windows theory, and that when you see a lot of things that lead people to believe that there's crime going on, then you're going to have more of it. I know in the past that when we come out and do the cops teams, I don't know if they've been directed towards any graffiti, but that is something good that we need to know about when we leave, because with every cops team, I think at least out here in Candler, we brought the inmates out, and part of that cops team involved cleaning up and getting some graffiti off of businesses, especially some of the ones that were closed down that didn't have any direct ownership and responsibility for them. So if you've got any place in particular that's sticking out in your mind, please let us know at the end of the meeting.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
say something about the graffiti, if you don't mind.
Excuse me.
The graffiti that we're seeing, when it goes back to the state, graffiti didn't really start in Asheville until we let people paint beautiful art under bridges. Then everybody thought they were an artist. It's got worse since that point. I mean, we didn't really have that much graffiti. I was lucky enough to go to Cleveland County, which was Shelby, Monday. Not one speck of graffiti anywhere down there, not one speck. The sheriff, the city police, and them have a very hard time with this. Bob Lawrence, that owns Lawrence Equipment, spent $4,200 getting the back of his building painted because they told him it's going to fine him if he didn't get it done. So something needs to be done and done quick through the city. The county, if it's in the county, Sheriff Duncan's people take very good care of it.
Thank you. I'm going to move to our next question. This is a long one, so bear with me, folks. This one concerns unregulated junkyard ordinance enforcements. Buncombe County and the state of North Carolina have ordinances regulating junkyards due to public safety concerns and potential negative impacts on a community. As you know, because you've been on the other end of the phone call or email, Candler citizens have contacted you. They've contacted multiple local, state, and federal agencies and other elected officials questioning why a junkyard operating in downtown Candler has been allowed to operate unregulated. Now that Buncombe County has a jurisdiction in downtown Candler and the junkyard ordinance covers pre-existing junkyards, why is this junkyard not being regulated by the state, by the county, or by the feds?
Well, no, on that particular issue, it's a little bit difficult without picking on one particular property owner, but just guessing at the particular location that's being discussed there, it does not fit under our current definition of a junkyard, which is the reason that we've not moved forward with any kind of regulation under the junkyard ordinance. In terms of where it fits within our zoning ordinance, the property was one that was previously regulated under the City of Asheville's extraterritorial jurisdiction, so the issues that came in with it traveled along with that business. It's, from everything we know and the discussions that we had from a zoning standpoint, it's in compliance today, and I know that that's not an answer that makes people very happy.
Can I ask you, I'm going to interrupt and just ask the question that I know everybody wants answered. What defines a junkyard?
You have that? If you'll give us a second, I'll pull it up on the iPad if we can get back to that in a few minutes.
Thank you.
We'll get back to the definition of a junkyard in just a few minutes. I'll have to pull it up on my iPad. There are some things that we could do moving.
Thank you. No need for electronics when you have a prepared county commissioner in your.
Just for a reference standpoint, this comes out of the Buncombe County Code of Ordinances, and this is, I believe, Chapter 26. Chapter 26. The definition of a junkyard means any establishment, place, or business, or place which is maintained, operated, or used for storing, keeping, buying, or selling junk, or maintenance of an operation of an automobile graveyard. And just to cut it off there, the important definition that hinges on that is the definition of junk. And junk under this ordinance means old or scrap copper, brass, rope, rags, batteries, paper, trash, rubber, refrigerators, stoves, household appliances, salvage building materials, salvage machinery parts, dismantled or wrecked automobiles or parts thereof, iron and steel, and other scrap, ferrous or non-ferrous materials. So the particular location does not fit cleanly within the definition of a junkyard. Nor can we make it apply. And that's a question that's been up to county legal staff because it is one that gets posed to us on a pretty frequent basis.
Commissioners? Anyone?
You know, I was involved in the writing of the junkyard ordinance. I remember then Chairman Sobel said, you want a junkyard ordinance, you meet with the junkyard people and we'll work it out. So if you can get something done, come back to us. And thankfully we did back then, and it's been a good ordinance. This doesn't fit, but there are conversations. We're going to continue them. We heard you. We know it's a concern out here. That's the biggest thing I hear from out here, that you're just ashamed the way it looks. And anybody... going on, they're going to continue, and we're going to do our best to fix up the problem. We're talking to the owner. He's been reasonable with us, and we're going to keep talking. And if we can't go that way, we will look at doing more ordinances. Does anybody want more regulation out there? Most people don't, but we understand this is a big problem. There are some grandfathering issues, you know, when somebody's got something before we took it over. But we've heard you, and we're going to work on it. It's on our radar, and we're going to keep working. I know all the commissioners, we've talked about it before, and we're kind of attacking it a couple different ways. So we hope we can help out here.
Congressman, there have been questions that this, because it's military surplus, that it is somehow connected to the military. Can you please address that?
It's not connected with the DOD. I heard rumors that there was black SUVs coming in and out. I mean, and I can tell you that from our research, we can't find any connection to any federal program, let's put it that way. And if it is, we'll certainly weigh in on that. I do have another confession to make. I'm impressed with the number of people that are here, but Michelle asked me to come originally to clean up Candler. I thought we were going to be along the roadside picking up trash. So, and she never said that. She never said that. But yeah, I said, sure, I'll come. But we will be glad to look into that. But from what we can tell, there is no federal component.
Thank you for dispelling that rumor.
And Emily, if I may,
yes, sir, please.
You also want to address it at the state level.
Yes, sir, please.
And several weeks ago, I sat down with Michelle and Michael and a few others to talk about this issue and looked into the state's junkyard ordinance, which we have one as well, that covers the state, and it essentially was the basis for the creation of the county one. So the county ordinance and the state ordinance are pretty much exactly the same. So what the definition that Josh has read here tonight is the same one that's in the general statutes.
I will say that one thing that's important to us within the planning department from an enforcement standpoint is when you do have an issue with the property, it is something that we go on site, we look at aerial photos, we take notes, and if you let us know, it's something that we document and we can move forward on. So we can make sure that when there is an issue, there aren't issues of further expansion. And so it's like Commissioner Gant said, it's something that we're monitoring, it's something that we're looking into, and it's a solution that's moving forward in the future. So I don't want people to think that we're not addressing it. So please keep calls coming. We do go out to every complaint that we receive and try to at least get a baseline to make sure that we understand what's going on site.
And while you're holding the mic, hold on just a minute. With the photos, have you been able to examine the ones that are on Google and GIS from years past?
We have, and I mean, we sat down with the individual that owns the property and went through some of that the other day, and that's part of our ongoing discussion. There's some other regulations at play that make the site a little bit more complicated than normal, including some floodplain regulations, and we're trying to balance everything that applies to that particular property.
Thank you. Miranda.
I used to have a business here in Candler. The sign's still up there. It says FFG, but on the other side it says Fryer. This problem has been here for a while, but the way the right-of-ways of the state road lays on the right-hand side of the road, there's probably 3 foot. The only thing I would like to see the state do is, because of where the buffer is on the opposite side, coming in to Candler, down the hill to Candler, he parks on a curb that I think is probably the right-of-way. He puts his equipment and he parks on a curb that is a right-of-way. I owned another property that, where the budget trucks are. If you go up, you'll see a couple of poles still left at it. The right-of-way was probably 5 foot from the road, but once it cleared my property, it went back 17 foot. Supposedly, and that's the things I was looking at. It's just like years ago, we should have been able to take care of this as far as the county, not me being there. But when the city did the ETJ, if you come from the top of the hill, that was not in the mile district down. But the way they got it in the ETJ is they did it by the way the crows fly. They went up on the hill and went from another road and went down and took Wits and all of that into the ETJ at that point. So the city, I was on the county a long time ago before I ever even thought about doing something like this, because, you know, once they had the flood, once they condemned his building, then he ran power down into his building. Then he had stuff backed up against the building behind it, and the people that were doing body work were fighting rats. So, you know, somebody may not like what I'm saying, but that was the facts. You know, they would come in the morning and...
Thank you, sir.
That's what I know about this area, and I appreciate this area, and something does need to be done.
I appreciate you all coming out and giving us this opportunity to come speak to you and listen to you. I'm not sure that there have been any gatherings like this since maybe the old zoning meetings were going on. So this is good to see. As far as the issue that we're talking about, I want to echo Chairman Gant's comments that we hear you. We understand that this is a very frustrating situation for the community, and just know that we want to find a solution that fits, that's suitable to everybody. So it is being given a lot of thought. I personally have given it a lot of thought. I've talked to staff, just as Chairman Gant said, and Mr. O'Connor mentioned that we are searching for a solution, and I want you to know that I'm open to hearing any of your suggestions. So please feel free to contact me, talk to me here at the end, or contact me. I'm very willing to listen to your ideas as well.
All right. Yeah. Pass the mic to Commissioner Belcher has a comment. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I just want to apologize for being late. I was called on at the school board to make a presentation, and they moved the schedule around to get me in and get me over here. And I want to, first off, since that's the first time in the room, I want to thank every one of you for taking the time to come out here. Many of you I've met, have talked to over my couple of years as representing you as commissioner. I have a couple of the things that I am concerned about, and it's creating within Candler. I've attended church in Candler for 30-some years. My kids went to Enka and grown up, and is making sure that people continue to be excited and have a sense of pride in our community. And as we work together like this, in talking to businesses, in working with DOT, and then we're going to be able to make changes and improve and grow and make this a better place for our kids. I did see something, one of the questions I missed about the litter, and I don't know if you were able to mention or not, but one of the things that on Queen Road that occurred, you may have noticed that on Queen Road, on the right-of-way was trimmed back. How many of you noticed that they cut it way back? Well, that was a result of a request of expanding the road. They couldn't expand the road because of some right-of-way issues, and it's very difficult to do. And I had made a call to them as a result of some input from different people. And they said, well, we can't do that, but we can cut it back. Well, when they cut it back, you saw, guess what you saw? Everybody knows what you saw, right? You saw Ken from like 20 years. But then we made another call back to them. And they put it on the cleanup day, which I think is maybe is it the 18th? Or
it's on the week of the 18th.
It's on the week of the 18th. So anyhow, so there's been a response to that. So as has been mentioned before, wherever you see us, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's at Ingles or whether you come to one of our meetings or you come here, you come to the commission, let us know what your concerns are, because as I think Commissioner Fryer had mentioned about, DOT, we can talk to them, and they can be and will be responsive. I noticed something today. How many of you noticed a new sign on 151 going up today? Anybody notice that? About the, Kirby Road for the next 7 miles, and be careful and slow down and all that, went up today. So, that is to help slow that traffic down and to make people aware of that road. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Belcher.
yes, and so continue the dialogue, continue bringing that to us. And my point is this, is that if we don't have the answer, then push us to go to another agency. Push us to go to someone else that can help, because there are people within the state, even at the national level, our representatives can work towards some of these solutions. But thank you for the opportunity to be here and to do what we can. Thank you.
I got to move on to the next question. Citizens are concerned about the unsafe actions occurring on or near our roadways. Examples include forklifts coming close to cars on the road or waiting in the turn lane to cross the road, vehicles and motorcycles driving way too fast. I think someone said they clocked a motorcycle on Mile Straight doing over 100, maybe 114 miles per hour. People crossing busy Smoky Park Highway without a crosswalk. We have this lovely pedestrian crosswalk at the Enka red light, but no sidewalks in front of Ingalls. Tall business products or containers placed too close to the road, making it hard to see when you turn. The community would like to know the local, state, and federal laws for these activities. We have questions about enforcing those, and what are the laws and what can we do? It's a big one again. Thank you, Van Duncan.
We continue to deal with speeding vehicles up and down 151 and also in the Mile Straight. And we'll continue to deal with those things. I think that's probably nothing new to Candler. Not that it's a good thing, but I think that's always kind of been something that's taken place. I do know that there was some discussion when the speed limit got lowered coming out of 151 that was kind of a problem, almost that the speed limit went too low. And I do remember that from another cops team discussion, and we've got our clerk, Steve Cogram, with us. Did they move that speed limit again, Steve? Still down 45, I believe, coming out. So, that depends on who you're talking with. Some folks think we're taking too much speed enforcement out 151 and not enough. Of course, a motorcycle going 114 miles an hour is pretty much a no-brainer. We need to deal with that. But like I say, if you guys want to talk specifics, when Michelle's ready for that or the group's ready for that, we're good. Or if you can see my folks in the back and you want to talk specifically about some times and dates and specific locations, then we can address it.
Sheriff, while you're still holding the mic, is it illegal for a forklift to cross a 5-lane road?
Here's what I'm going to tell you. There's actually charges like impeding the flow of traffic and unsafe movement and those type of things that would definitely apply. I remember I got a call a while back about trucks parked in the roadway, and we came out and dealt with that. I don't know that we've had any further calls since then. I haven't heard about the forklifts, but we did know they were parking tractor and trailers, blocking lanes of travel, and we did deal with that.
Thank you.
Call us when they do.
I have one other comment to add. On the safe roads concern, part of it, of course, is enforcement of our speeding laws and other traffic safety laws. And then the other part of it the other way we can look at some of this is making sure we have safe designs for streets and places that people walk and have to cross the streets. And so it's great to have the DOT folks here, because they are always, when there are concerns like this, they're the folks who are really our lead state agency in terms of thinking about at least the state roads and taking care of those. And outside the town limits, it's going to be almost all DOT roads. So it's great to have them here. We also have a local planning body called the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and all the different towns and counties in Buncombe, Henderson, and Haywood County all have local representatives on that. Commissioner Ellen Frost and I serve on that commission. And part of what our role is, there's big transportation projects that the DOT leads on, but then there's also smaller issues like street crossings and sidewalks and things like that. And part of what we try to do is look at some of those smaller projects, but projects that make a real big difference in terms of neighborhoods and safety. So if there are issues like that, bring those to our attention, because there's always more projects than there's funding to do.
Can anyone address the issue? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're getting a little antsy here. Can anyone address the sidewalks? We have a new pedestrian crosswalk at Enka Red Light. We have a new Ingalls. We have a library on Sand Hill Road. Can anyone address why there would not be sidewalks that would connect Sand Hill Road all the way to our very expensive?
Well, I think the answer to that is
crosswalk?
that there's no requirement for businesses to build sidewalks in the unincorporated areas of the counties when they build their developments. There's no requirement to install a sidewalk. Some businesses might see it in their interest to do so people can get to their stores or businesses safely, but there is no requirement to build a sidewalk when you develop your property, and I think that's the answer. But if there's a public right-of-way there, there are funds available to invest in infrastructure. So if there's projects like that are high priorities, bring those to our attention, and we can look at trying to get those kind of projects funded in future years.
Thank you. I think Representative Turner may want to speak. Thank you.
I know a lot of folks are excited about the new Ingalls going in, and I know folks at AB Tech are excited about that. I hope it doesn't take a tragedy for folks to say, oh, we should have put sidewalks in. And I'm afraid that with some of the traffic that we see, that might be the case. Now, I know John Boyle's here, and he's talked about the Ingalls sidewalk issue in his Answer Man column. But following that column, that answer wasn't good enough for, I know, several of the folks who are in this room today, because you reached out to me. I, in turn, have reached out to Ingalls, and I've spoken to their CFO, Ron Freeman, and he outlined much the same challenges that he outlined, I assume, for John. But he also said that they're open to, seeing what they can do. They said there's some private property issues, that they don't own all the land in front of there. They're talking about some different right-of-way stuff. But one of the things that we're going to continue to work on, that my office is going to continue to work on, is how do we partner with the county? How do we partner with Ingalls to make that road much safer? So while I don't have an answer like, yes, we're going to put sidewalks there, it's an issue that we're going to continue to pursue.
Thank you for being aware of it. Now, what do neighborhoods need to do if they wanted to install a large speed hump in the county? What needs to happen to slow folks down in their neighborhoods if the neighborhood wanted to do that? Josh? Commissioner Belcher would like.
I could give you an example. Speed bumps are not very popular, right? I mean, they're not. But there has been 2 instances through communication and networking from communities through Buncombe County, through the Sheriff's Department, through DOT, through the state, that has been able to do a couple things. One is to reduce speed limit. There was a request to go from 35 to 25 in the community, and I was quite honestly, I wasn't sure that was even a possibility. But by presenting it and the community presenting their information, they looked at it, and in a matter of just 2 to 3 months or a few months, that occurred. The second thing was the use of the flashing signs that tell you how fast you're going. Okay, that was utilized through, and Sheriff, I'm not sure if, I think your office helped with that, with maybe the city, to be able to put that out for a while.
How does the neighborhood get that done? How do they get the sign brought to their neighborhood?
They sent me an email. I sent an email to somebody else. I called somebody, they called somebody, and somebody called somebody else. And after several bouncing back and forth of phone calls and weeks, the sign went out there, and then they said, that worked. And and did they get everything they wanted? No, they didn't. But they were able to get some things that made sense. So through the dialogue over time, you may not be able to get exactly what you think might work, but there are a lot of things out there that can make a difference. So make the phone call, through the email, and we'll try to get it to the right people, whether it be state, local, sheriff's department, or whoever. But on the sidewalks, somebody said, did you say a tragedy needed to happen or something? And or somebody said something maybe like that
I
about.
think Representative Turner,
Okay.
we don't want a tragedy
No,
to occur.
we don't.
Nobody wants a tragedy to occur.
But one of the things that I drive that stretch of 1923 there, past the bank, going towards the Enka red light, and have for a long time. And one of the things that really bothered me is I drive it so much, I saw somebody walking in the road between the tire store and the bank. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay, you remember how it was, that steep bank there? It really bothered me, and it was something I couldn't get off my mind, off my heart, so on and so forth. So, we just started networking. And, I find out, well, that's out of the ETJ now, so the county can have the dialogue. The county talked about it. And several people at this table was there. I think, Brownie, you was there in the initial conversation, some other folks. And the DOT came and said, we can help you. We have something that we think will work. And they did that and got it up to the corner. And so you want to put pressure on, or well, not pressure is not the right word, maybe it is, because I am sweating pretty good up here. So once you do one smaller project that you might not think makes sense, when those start connecting, and then maybe Ingalls or whoever it would be, might voluntarily do a little bit of it.
I'm not trying to cut you off, and I'm proud of our sidewalks. I'm proud of the infrastructure that's in spot, but I think the question is, what do we do to get more of it?
All right, well, I talk a lot. It takes me a while to get there. I'm getting there.
We've got to keep
All right, so
on track so we can get the rest of these done.
Let me get you there.
Thank you.
I was there today, drove by, looked at that, New Ingalls, looked at the gap between Ingalls and the red light, and went, you know what? That's not very far. So maybe instead of advocating for the whole thing, let's advocate for a short section that connects to Ingalls, and at least we'll get that little bit done. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
Advocate small.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I know there's a group that's already working on some of that. I mean, Connect Enka has already approached the county on some of those issues, and it's something that we're trying to move forward. It's very helpful for us to have a local partner that can assist in some of the fundraising that we need for matches to move the plans forward, like Commissioner Newman mentioned with the MPO, and those discussions have been started. The only thing that I would add is they are lengthy discussions, and they do take several years, but having a community partner like we have with the Connect Enka organization is going to make it move that much faster. So participation in those things and letting us know kind of the collective voice of where the sidewalks need to go and where those trouble spots are. When we know that, when we have somebody working in the community that can help us.
Just to speak for this group, I've gone through these stack of cards while I'm trying to read these questions. I know they also want the sidewalks up to this school from the main road. That's one that's been on several cards for folks to be able to alleviate traffic and get to Enka Middle School.
So once we know about it, we can identify the funding streams, but it helps that there's a community partner that can point us in the right direction.
Congressman Meadows, do you have anything to add?
The biggest problem is Buncombe County does not own not one road. They're all state or city. And Buncombe County does not own one road, period. The state owns all the roads. The county absolutely does not own anything, any properties. All the right-of-ways would have to be worked out with the state. So basically, your cities, your municipalities are the ones that do the sidewalks. The county, you either got a private road or you've got a state road. So that's the issue in this whole deal. And in the county, the funding, who's going to buy the property to be able to put a sidewalk? Most of the time, it's each group, if it turns into a city like Woodfin or Black Mountain or Asheville, then that's where your sidewalks come from, because they end up paving the roads. That's where their property tax and stuff goes. The county does not have the responsibility of any road in the county.
Thank you. Does anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Tipton.
Sure. Speaking of sidewalks, I think we've had some success out in the community with some sidewalks recently being installed along Smoky Park Highway, and we have partnered with the county to be able to do that. And what Commissioner Fryer is saying is correct. The Department of Transportation does not maintain sidewalks. We have to partner with a municipality or another governmental body to actually take over the maintenance, and they have to help participate in the cost of the installation of those. But we will, be willing to work with the county and others if funding can be secured in any of these areas to help install a sidewalk in a place where it can be done. There's always issues with right-of-way and drainage that creates. For example, the question of trying to bring sidewalk up to the school. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I think you have to keep in mind that if you think about where sidewalk typically goes, where you see sidewalk, you very rarely see sidewalk where there's not curb and gutter. Also that you have against that. Well, that creates a much bigger project if that doesn't already exist with the drainage and the issues you have to take care of to make that work. Not saying that's a bad idea, just knowing that it's a little bit more difficult to do on a road that doesn't already have curb and gutter than like one on Smoky Park Highway where curb and gutter was already there.
Thank you for explaining that difficulty.
And I think Jason has one quick follow-up.
Well, when we were talking about the speed bumps, speed humps, I mean, I know it's typically something that's not installed on our infrastructure or network of roads. From the standpoint of maintenance, snow removal are very difficult when you start talking about that. But if there are specific areas or anything that needs to be, studied, we can certainly look at it. If it's brought to our attention, specific locations, we can certainly run it through our traffic department. We have a very aggressive traffic services department, and I think some other people have mentioned signage is a big thing, and speed control. I mean, those are things that we get involved in, but we do look at, we try to think outside the box as well. So if there's specifics that somebody wants us to look at, we'd be glad to look at it, study it, see what the possibilities may be.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. Many neighborhoods have been impacted from the noise located on Jacob Home Way from the new industry. Biltmore Lake, Warren Haynes Drive, Enka Village, Reeves Cove. There have been complaints all around. What can be done? What can the neighborhoods do to address these noise concerns? Anybody?
I'm not really aware of those coming in. I don't know that our noise ordinance that it stands right now in the county would cover a business during the operating hours of the business time. Is it 24/7 that they operate, or it is 24/7? But there's also some things around pre-existing businesses and being grandfathered in. So before I give you a real hard concrete answer, I really want to take a look at the situation. And I don't know that that's something that you deal with maybe primarily with a noise ordinance violation. That may be something where you go over, I'm not familiar with the business or how many folks they employ, but it certainly is something that we can take a look at. Let me back real quick. Speed trailers, we borrowed that speed trailer from Biltmore Forest. We have talked about buying one for the county. They're somewhere between $5,000 to $7,000, I believe. We've also talked about using that speed trailer. You can also run continuous looping messages on it. So if we were going to come out here and do a COPS team, we could pull that trailer out to a very visible spot in Candler and be able to run that loop about the meeting. So we're continuing to look at being able to buy one of those.
Thank you. I also have, there have been some talks about doing parades and a 5K. What is the process to close roads to make these community events possible? Congressman Meadows wants to take this.
Well, that's the state. I was pointing to the state there, but
again, that would be something that could be submitted to our traffic unit. There is a process that they can look at and go through with you guys. If there's some interest, if you can let us know, we'll be glad to take it back on your behalf, because like I said, there is a process to fill out some paperwork. Obviously, we want to make sure that the traveling public is safe, as well as pedestrian safety. So, I mean, all that's concerned depending on what the route is, what kind of traffic counts are on that route. But again, there is a process fill out an application. If there's a particular event in mind, if you'll let us know, I mean, you can let us know while we're back here.
Do you know
or
how much time in advance we need to let you know? What type of planning are you talking
Just,
about?
well, it's not my department, so that's not a
Okay.
good answer, but I can certainly get it in the right people's
Thank you.
hands, so we can get it to them in an expeditious manner.
All right, my last question, and then we're going to move to our community fair and invite these panelists to come on the floor and be available to you to talk to and answer your questions. Citizens are concerned about the lack of maintenance on our roads, such as drainage and pothole issues. They're also concerned about the increase of traffic on Sardis and Smoky Park. The new Interstate 40 exit may help alleviate some traffic issues, but citizens would like to know the timetable and plan for this exit and what additional stoplights or speed bumps or road widenings would help improve the flow of traffic. Thank you.
I'll try to answer that. I think the first thing to speak to is there is a new interchange plan is to add some ability for folks to get off of Interstate 40. It is at the Liberty Road, where the existing Liberty Road overpass is now. The current schedule we have for the project, it will be for right-of-way acquisition to begin in 2019 and construction to begin in 2021. You know, I understand that we would all like to see that happen sooner. Projects such as this, we run through some issues with, it's very challenging to get a new interstate, an interchange approved on the interstate now, working with our partners with the Federal Highway Administration. We've worked through those issues, and then funding is an issue. We were just recently, in the past year, all projects across the state, major highway transportation projects were reprioritized, and we were very fortunate in Buncombe County to get a number of projects funded that very well could have not been, and that was one of them out of what was called the statewide tier. So to help with that, I understand that's not as quickly as a lot of folks would like to see, but there's a number of projects that didn't actually make the cut across the state that they have no hope of seeing those in the near future.
I think Congressman Meadows would like to add something to this. Thank you.
I can speak on part of this from a federal funding point of view because it's a partnership between part of the money comes from the federal government, the other from the state. I've had numerous meetings with Secretary Tata, a number of folks from the state DOT, as well as the federal highway component. Some of the additional issues that will be coming up from a funding, because a lot of times this just comes down to funding, and it seems like the funding never gets west of I-77, you know, and it's time that And so I will say that we've got, there's a temporary patch because funding for the federal highway portion of that potentially runs out in May. We'll be back addressing that. Literally, I'm leaving tomorrow to go back, and we're working on those issues to make sure the funding is there.
Well, someone pointed out that this would be the gateway to the Blue Ridge Parkway for the state of North Carolina, and that would be very exciting. Candler is going to be, for the state of North Carolina coming from the west, we are going to be the gateway to the Blue Ridge Parkway, and that seems like a good way to get some funding. That was a point that someone made on a card. Thank you, whoever wrote that down.
But I will add to that in the reprioritization of projects, Buncombe County did fare very well. The 26 corridor coming from the airport up to I-40, including the I-40, 26, 240 interchange were funded. Again, it was going to be a few years, but there again, it's better, much better to be funded and moving forward. I know you probably, if you've driven 26 recently, we've had a lot of surveyors folks out there working, doing some things. Also, the Brevard Road interchange is going to be reconstructed, and that's actually going to happen a little bit sooner than the overall 26 project. So we're looking at hopefully around 2017 on that, and that's not really all that far away for a project like that. Sand Hill Sardis Road was mentioned. It was in the reprioritization and scored. the project, relative to other projects, did not score high enough to receive funding in this round. We will redo the reprioritization again next year, and it will still be there. We're starting to see some more growth. Maybe in the reprioritization next year, it will fare and score a little bit higher, and maybe something will happen there. But we do know that there are issues. We've heard that from community, and we're definitely, it's in the consideration.
All right. Well, thank you so much, panelists. I should have done this from the outset. We had a lot of elected officials here tonight. Brownie Newman from the County Commission, Brian Turner, our state rep, Miranda DeBrule from the County Commission, Mike Fryer from the County Commission, Congressman Meadows from U.S. Congress, David Gant from the County Commission, Steve Cogburn was here. I'm not sure if he's still here. He's our clerk of court. Sheriff Van Duncan, of course. Judge Ed Klontz is here, and a Candler citizen. Chief Judge Calvin Hill was here with us, and Commissioner Joe Belcher. So I do want to thank them for coming, and our panelists. Let's give them a great round of applause. But don't go anywhere. The panelists are going to be available for you to answer your questions. Come on and mingle, get up, and see what we've got at these community fair. This is your opportunity. We've got everybody here in one room. Thank you, Candler.